Welcome to the channel. Today we got some interesting news to talk about. Obviously, some of you yesterday saw this Congress hearing about UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomenon, the way they're described today, probably to move away a little bit from the UFO thing, even though that's more or less the same thing. Unidentified flying object. So, it's interesting, you open Twitter and the first thing you see it's UFOs and aliens like trending right there. Feminism, I have no idea why. Maybe Barbie's being popular right now. But it warms my heart to see the Time magazine together with a lot of mainstream media actually it's talking about this. If you haven't noticed, yesterday three officials working for the military, both in, I suppose, security agency and fighter pilots, jet pilots, they have testified under oath in front of the Congress, in front of some congressmen, about their experiences and what they have collected as evidence in terms of our connection, interaction, at least for the U.S., with non-human, both craft and basically people, if you can call it that. So, I mean, it is actually pretty incredible. Honestly, it's kind of an historical moment because, I mean, this is pretty nuts. Really. Like, all the speculations, all the rumors, those people, of course, have talked about it also in private interviews, but never under oath that they can perjure themselves if they're lying. There's always somebody that says, of course, this is all lies and this is all a psyop. And I'm also amused by those people because I'm like, how would you know? You know, even if you're doing assumption and you're putting together threats that you do it in your own mind, how would you know that that's the case? Especially when, in our history, we have had plenty of times where a story like this could have been break to the public to distract the public from Iraq, Iran, for the gas, shortages of the 70s, or like hike, whatever that was, all kinds of problems, inflation, you name it. We have had plenty of opportunities and time where a story like this could have been brought to the public for distraction, right? So, why is happening now? I think, frankly, there are probably very simple explanation here. Is that you have to think of all those bodies in a government, which they are every organization has a key holder, so to speak, or some key holders, and it's compartmentalized. Probably not everyone talks to everyone. Just because you work for the Congress, you're sitting there in Washington D.C. or whatever that is, doesn't mean that you have the master key to go around everywhere and you can just go dig to the CIA or whatnot. So people have to keep that in mind. There is not that kind of communication. So obviously people working in those niches, specific places, which they have first-hand account, or they know the people that have first-hand account, are quite valuable. And probably they are also frustrated because of their contract or where they work, they're not allowed to speak without being probably persecuted. So it's interesting that what they're doing now, they're together with a lot of enthusiasts like Jeremy Corbell, which I think is doing a great job in modern time to bring this to the people, and also to demand through legal ways the government to inquire or to release whatever it's possible to release and classify. So, and of course, also people like George Tsoukalos and other people before him, which they have, really paved the way with, UFO series and putting the dots together. And I think it's quite valuable what they did before. But this part was always missing, like really trying to involve the government and official to speak out. So for me personally, and everybody that has always loved this type of stuff and followed this type of stuff for decades, it's a moment of rejoicing, because you really feel like, okay, we either get to the point here where they have to release more, and then you think all these people, also like Bob Lazar, which came out as if it was a freaking nutcase, and basically those guys are confirming what people like Bob Lazar have been saying for 30 years, So the existence of crashed material from UFO origins coming to Earth, right, and being retrieved by the US, it's unprecedented, it's spectacular, and it also opens up the mind to all kinds of other things, like what really happened in the Phoenix incident, in the light in Phoenix in the 90s, where the video of those flares are let's say the only remaining, but actually the event that was described by thousands of people happened before that part, and there is no footage of that, of the V-shaped huge like starship that flew overhead there in the valley. So you start to think that a lot of stuff might be connected, and there might be more truth to those past events, which they've always been looked upon, frowned upon as like, this is stuff just for conspiracy theorists, for foiled hat people. And now you start to realize the guy yesterday said literally in front of the Congress people, that the US has retrieved non-human pilots from the 30s or so. All of a sudden Roswell, which I think happened probably 47. Then, you're like, wow, all the speculations, all those things that might be actually really true. Then you start to wonder if our technology, it's been, which was speculated upon, it's been advanced because of the advancement on reverse engineering, what they've managed to retrieve, what they retrieved, and then what they managed to understand and reverse engineering. Of course, the Sci-Hop people are always complaining, this is for, distracting you from Sam Bankman-Fried. No, because this is making news. And whatever the implication here, whether or not this was because he was the biggest donor of Biden, probably. But, both news are going around. And this is going to be known, especially with the Twitter of today. This has already been viewed a million times. So hardly passing unnoticed, and again taking nothing away of what happened yesterday. Then you got some religious zealot, always have to throw the religious in. This is just for Jesus Christ. It's very tiring. Everybody's putting their own spin on this instead of being also, I'm honestly also a little bit worried and excited, because you just wonder also, what are those people doing? Why is it Britney Spears here showing up with this? Why people do this kind of stuff? Sometimes I'm scared to scroll, because sometimes all of a sudden you're checking on UFOs and all of a sudden you see somebody slurping on something that it's part of a human body, more or less in the middle height. All right? Jesus, people. So anyway, going back to this, it's exciting, man. It's exciting and worrying. What they have. Are those people always been, have been around for who knows how long? Are we still being contacted? Are those people still like coming back and forth? We don't know. But definitely it's an historical moment, because the question, if those guys are not just a bunch of freaking idiots, which I find it hard to believe that people would try to endanger their own reputation and also being persecuted by the government. What's going on here? This looks like a little bit kind of too close. If you can smell the cologne, that's too close. All right, keep your distance. Don't mix the hacks. Okay? So we'll see what is going to happen of this. And yesterday I was mentioning also, we also saw, we sort of grew a callous on this type of news because we are so accustomed to rumors and science fiction movies and series, which in a way has entered our collective consciousness in a way that makes event like this less relevant or less wow factor, because we're just so accustomed to hear for decades UFO sighting and the light and the UFO sighting and Roswell and the documentary and the documentary and this other documentary, that then finally when the real news comes out, it's like, all right, okay, I knew kind of that, but you kind of miss a little bit that excitement. And I definitely felt, honestly, that excitement, also that validation for all the people that have believed always in the evidence that was already out there, but couldn't have any official confirmation. And again, this is the first time that a government does this type of stuff, and then officials, military, are on the road and they share those information. And they're doing a great job because they have to navigate what they can say and what they cannot say. I'm pretty sure those people know more, but they just have to be careful on how they deliver it. And the big question here is also whether or not, like, other countries, there was speculation already in the past that also Russia has retrieved some UFOs in the past, their own Roswell incident. So I wonder if this is going to spur, like, also other countries, officials, to come forward and do the same. I wouldn't be surprised if there would be other statements coming forward. Whether or not this is all an excuse to fake the alien invasion so they can take more freedom away from you, well, if you don't see alien and they do that, then you're right. But if you see alien, and then maybe they're real. So time always will tell. I mean, I'm not just gonna believe just sirens and noises, without actually seeing anything, if the government wants to go their way. So that would be quite interesting to, like, you hear the official, I don't remember if it was Grush, that he was talking about describing a cube inside a sphere, a transparent sphere. Like, that's frightening. It feels like a little bit like The Arrival, the latest movie of the same director that did Dunes, right? And then you think, like, what is that? Was it a probe from a bigger ship? What is it? What is it for? How does it operate? You got the jet pilot literally saying, we don't understand what the heck it was, because the way it was maneuvering and the way it was behaving, like, the material is beyond our comprehension of how material works and physics works. So then you wonder, like, wow, what is this? And also, definitely, if they're hostile, that feels like we don't have much of a chance against this type of technology. So I look forward to more, honestly. And I know that this video, my videos on this stuff doesn't get pushed very much. I hope you watch it more and share it, and share it on YouTube or share it on Twitter. Leave a message, comment, because I think this type of stuff is really, honestly, the biggest news of our time. If there is another final confirmation of this type of things, there is no bigger news that we are not alone in the universe. That all the speculation of whether or not in this galaxy there are galaxies or other galaxies there are intelligence that travel back and forth, they understand space and time in a different way than we do, they could literally, like, propel ourselves, if they're friendly, to incredible height. All of a sudden we can be multiplanetary. All of a sudden it's a little bit like the Star Trek thing. Maybe they don't want to interfere, not to interfere with our own progresses. But if that happens, either by coincidence or by accident, and then they sort of want to help us further, could mean also learn new things. Instead of feeding ourselves social media and becoming more and more brain dead, starting to learn new things about the universe and space, that we can actually develop our brain abilities further and understanding further, and being multiplanetary become a reality in a universe that perhaps is probably filled to the brim of similar planet to Earth, where there is life in different stages, right? Different stages of evolution, of animals, of composition. Like you might have heard somewhere where there's still dinosaurs, and a Earth where there's still the Middle Ages, so to speak, or a Earth where it's prehistoric times. So, or an Earth where they're like already 500,000 further in human development. So all those things are so incredibly fascinating, right? And we are so accustomed to be cows and sheep following the herd of that your existence is based, it's predicated only on the need of working to feed yourself, and that's it, right? And then you have to pay taxes, and you pay tax and you go to work, and this is the reality that we accept, when in fact as a society I always maintained, for me myself at least, that we should be all explorers, scientists and artists, like venturing into this avenue in existence. Because if you look at the planet, we are the only species that it's capable of trying at least to translate what it's happening out there, and trying to understand it and translate it for ourselves, right? And to continue to explore. There are no other species on this planet doing that we know of. So it's a pity that we use that potential, right? Because everybody to an extent has quite some potentiality, and all we do is go to the football stadium, go to work and pay tax and buy junk food, and that's it, right? Such a waste that we could be literally like, venturing out, all of us, into the infinite universe. And yeah, anyway, before I keep ranting too much, I thought this was a fantastic moment, honestly, and I didn't want it just in my way. I wanted to participate. Even if I get 50 views on this video, I don't care. I want to participate into this because I've been an avid researchers in my way already for decades, and then sort of slow down a little bit because I think I literally watched any video, any documentary, any evidence that was there until 2012, 14 or something, and then I started to go a little bit, tired of dots videos or tired of speculations or whatever. But in fact, some of the speculations turned out to be true. Bob Lazar, where are you? We need to interview him once again. So I hope Joe Rogan invites him once more, or those other people. Anyway, guys, please, if you want, share this video, like it. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll talk to you later.